Abathandi Bebola, welcome. Good evening. It is Monday Night Football on Soweto TV. Much to reflect upon after match day 4 at the weekend, and then there's a lot in the news cycle. But we start the show on a sad note. This morning, news coming in of the passing of Anele Ngcongca, who died in a car accident early this morning. The former Mamelodi Sundowns player was on his way to joining AmaZulu on loan for the season. Capped 53 times by Bafana Bafana and having won the PSL 3 times with the Brazilians, helping me to kind of break down his impact on South African football. I have my panel that is made up of award-winning journalist Velile Mnyandu. We've got former goalkeeper Shwabe Walters of Maritzburg United, and of course from Sokala Duma joining us is Mazola Molefe. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me this evening. Let's start in terms of the impact of this player, Velile. Anele, obviously now, known more for his time at Mamelodi Sundowns, but he's had a long, storied career.
Good evening, Kamza, gents, and also to the viewers. It's been a very tough day for the footballing family. Oqala masitsho sithi siphose amazovelwano kusapho lakwaNgcongca. Kwakhona kwakufuthi ke nakwabo bazitshomi zakhe ngakumbi ababedlala naye Mamelodi Sundowns nakubafana bafana napha apho besefike khona ngokumaZulu. It's been a very tough day. When I look at I just not a few hours ago I was with his former colleague at Sundowns, Tulani Tuswa, and he was also telling me that Coach Pitso is taking it very badly. These developments. Now you'll understand that Anele was not really looking to come back in the country. When I spoke to him a long time ago, he said he wanted to come back to South Africa just to retire around 35, 36, But such was his bond with Coach Pitso from at Bafana Bafana, that in 2016 when Coach Pitso wanted him to come back, he didn't think twice, And at the time, he still had some offers from Asia and also from some European countries, especially in Turkey. But he came back to play for Sundowns. And he's one of those rare players that we've exported, having never kicked the ball in the PSL. Because I remember the time he was playing for FC Fortune in the first division, a club which was jointly managed by Colin Key, the former coach of Hellenic, who also happened to be the agent of Quentin Fortune at the time. And yes, but one of the things that Anele used to say is that growing up at Cooks and Kukuletu in Cape Town, there were players who were more talented than him, But some of his friends, he would say that some are in jail, some passed on, because they were involved in other things outside the game.
Sure.
And this led to Colin Key taking him out of Cape Town to Simonstown, And that's where now the talent got to be noticed, So, and I mean, spending a decade in Europe at RC Gang, having been there from the age of 20, So the dedication was there, I think most of us will all agree. When it comes to Anele, the professionalism, Anele, sometimes you not see him with the armband, but he was that captain.
Sure.
On the field. He was that extra coach. Even at Sundowns, Coach Pitso would marvel, having him as a senior player.
Sure. But
he will also tell you that Anele is the extra coach. He coaches, and you could see him even when the camera cuts to him. He's busy, with his teammates. But look, I've dealt with him, especially in the last 2 years. I've not even been interviewing him because I considered him as a younger brother.
Sure.
We spoke about a lot of things away from the field of play. And he always had that vision of giving back as well, at Bafana Bafana, I remember we were in Gabon en route to the AFCON in 2015 to Equatorial Guinea. Mazola was there. You know, amongst some of the boys who would always sit around when Anele is there, and the young players, they would sit around him. Siyabonga Nhlapo was there,
Right.
but there was this player, Bongani Zungu. You know, Bongani would come to Anele and say, Tata, I'm going to follow you to Europe. I want to play in Europe.
Sure.
You know, and Anele was playing UEFA Champions League at the time, and Zungu is there today.
Huh.
So he was more than just a footballer.
I hear you. I hear you. I mean, the tributes are coming in from as far as his former teammates at Genk, the likes of Kevin De Bruyne and Thibaut Courtois, and of course amongst cheer, there's a lot of, you know, just an outpouring of love and support. How was he as an individual? Because from the game, you know, players are always seen as reserved, but you had access to him. When you wanted to speak, he would allow you to speak with him, and he was an affable person. Tell us about that side of him that maybe people didn't see outwardly.
Yeah, I think in recent years, and I'll go back to when he was in Europe, but in recent years when he was at Sundowns, you know, sometimes you get invited to a media open day, and the media officer says, you know, you can go ahead and request an interview with any player that you want. You know, you get the ones that, you know, they shake their heads, they don't want to talk, they go in straight to the dressing room.
Right.
But there's Anzo, you know, the the eldest statesman, if you like, of all of the players at Sundowns, ready to do interviews with everyone, you know. And that's had always been his approach. You know, like Velia was saying, he would travel with the national team, playing AFCON qualifiers, World Cup qualifiers. And sometimes when you are stranded for interviews and the rest of the prima donnas in the national team don't want to give you interviews, you can just say, Anzo, please, man, another one.
Sure.
And Anzo would be available to do it for you. I remember when he moved, when Genk loaned him to France, I think it was a few years ago, I can't remember exactly, just before he joined Mamelodi. It might have been 2017 or it might have been 2015 or 2014. I called Anzo. He was in transit from Belgium to go to France, you know. And I've had interactions with players abroad before when you're asking for desperately needing an interview, and they just don't give you the time of day. They are too busy, you know. They blame the time difference. But not Anele. You know, Anele spoke to me, and I could hear that he's got bags and he's, you know, going to sign his new contract, but he's giving me the time of day. You know, in fact, he texts me back to say, Dada, you can phone back, you know.
Wow.
And then I'm phoning him back. He gives me an interview, great, done and dusted. Even when he came back home, he similar approach. And people always think Anele reserved or whatever, but whenever we're traveling in camp, you know, you'd get there, Anele is the one that's doing most of the talking, you know. So, yeah, you know, unfortunate that, especially in the manner that in which he passed on, which is a regular occurrence on our roads in South Africa,
and with
you
footballers
know,
in South
with
Africa.
footballers in South Africa. But, you know, I think we were saying off air, that story that was written by Daniel Mutwaha in the City Press on, I remember it's 28th of June, where he, in an interview again with Anele, who was so open about everything, he tells Daniel that, look, you know, I'm not playing football for money. I've got 23 million rand saved.
Waiting for me
when I turn 35 in my Belgian, insurance scheme or retirement scheme. You know, so he was 33, he was 2 years away from getting that money. If you're a footballer, you're thinking how footballers die without a cent in their pocket. You're thinking this guy was set for life.
For sure.
You know, as soon as he retired, 23 million. And that's just counting from his time abroad. Not even counting the good package that he would have obviously been on at Mamelodi Sundowns since he joined in 2016. So he was set. He was ready to go, and then it's just so sad. I mean, it's been a tough day for us in the football fraternity.
Shoaib, I mean, all of this kind of just speaks to someone who seemed to be the consummate professional, you know, to have such a sustained time overseas, come back, still play at a high level and contribute to a successful team like Mamelodi Sundowns. It kind of reads to me like the ideal career that you'd want as a footballer. That international exposure, come back and become a local legend among Brazilian fans here. I mean, you know, could he have done better? It doesn't seem like it on the outside.
No, I think he, first of all, I'd just like to send my condolences out to his family. For me, he was the model professional when it comes to obviously looking at how you can retire with comfortably and obviously with good management. It's a sad day, like everybody's saying, but for me, they both are telling the truth when it comes to how humble he was, because I can only speak from my experience with him in the 2010 World Cup. We obviously shared similar backgrounds. I'm from Grassy Park, and he's from Guguletu, where you get outside distractions, and we both were, used football. And he then passed it on to the likes of Bongani Zungu, and he was instrumental in a lot of other younger players. So that's what I'm saying. It's very sad, and it's a sad day, but we should also try and use this as an eye-opener. We know there was eye-openers before, but we should again now be reminded, and other footballers in the fraternity should be reminded of, certain decisions that are made, and how to conduct.
For sure. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your reflections. We're going to take a short little break, after which we'll resume with the rest of our show. But yeah, from us here at Monday Night Football on Soweto TV, from our viewers and everybody here, we send our condolences to the family of the late Anele Ngcongca. It's Monday Night Football on Soweto TV. Remember that hashtag MNF on Soweto TV. We'll use that and use your tweets to engage my panel and myself here as we get into what's happening in the news cycle. And the latest casualty as far as the coaches are concerned is none other than Eric Tinkler, the coach who led Maritzburg United to quite a respectable finish as far as the league was concerned in the top 8, but hadn't won since March. So that bio bubble record of his saw him play 6 games in there with 3 losses and 3 draws. Gentlemen, I guess the writing was on the wall that the axe would fall. Let's start. I mean, Shwaib, you've worked with the gent, you know. Hey, guys, we have to get to, we lost time. Now the viewers are tuning in for the juicy stuff. Eric Tinkler, was the writing on the wall, do you think, at Maritzburg United?
I think it was to a certain degree. When I look at my experiences, and I can only but speak about my experiences,
Sure.
When you're losing games on the trot, you get certain coaches that want to push you harder and harder.
Sure.
And then you get other coaches that when you're losing 2-3 games on the trot, they kind of want to inspire you, motivate you.
Right.
Now, I think that is maybe where the problem came in.
Okay.
And eventually losing the dressing room.
Right.
They've got a good squad. They've got good bunch of players.
Yeah.
He's a good coach,
Sure.
tactically.
Sure.
Now we need to look at where could have been the problems with them not winning games.
Sure.
And that is where I think could have been issues.
Okay, so, I mean, looking as Shwaib was saying, Mazola, that squad of his, you know, on a bad squad. They managed a good finish. Yes, they had a slump in the bubble. But, you know, is the coach the problem in the scenario?
It comes up with the hard questions. Look, I have to be careful what I say here, but
I was also just careful.
yeah, I think
You guys knew what was coming.
yeah. Look, obviously, the club, we know the club has a history of being trigger happy, you know. But if you go back to the performances in the bio bubble, some of the players that, you know, for instance, you had a Sianda Kulu who had been, you know, candidate for defender of the season years gone by, captain of the club, but was sidelined, contract coming to an end, was not extended. And from what I understand, because the coach took the decision. Also, obviously, Sianda was on a high package, and it was that time COVID where clubs were cutting costs, and the easier thing to do was to cut costs with a player, senior player that's not playing, but also not playing regularly. So you have to look at that and think, did the problems start there? And we know Eric from his time previously with other teams.
Right.
They had obviously been issues with perhaps losing the dressing room, you know, and perhaps this could have been the situation now, you know. People might look in isolation now thinking, it's only 4 games. Why are you getting rid of the coach after 4
still early
games?
days.
I mean, one, he's lost all 4 games.
Yeah, in the
and
league,
then you
and
take
then
it
the
back.
MTN 8 as well.
MTN, that's 5, and then you have another 6 or
From
so
the bubble,
from the bubble, you know. So last victory was back in March, pre-COVID, you know. So I think, the writing was on the wall. The X had always been hovering. But there are some who could be more sympathetic to say, why not give the coach more time?
Right.
Like people came out when Fadlu was sacked after reaching a cup final and finishing, I think Maritzburg finished 4th on the table that season, and Fadlu was sacked halfway, midway through the season, you know. So, you know, that's what I'm saying. You have to put it in context. You have a club that's trigger happy, that presses panic buttons quite quickly, and then you have a coach that can be a bit difficult at
And
times.
abrasive,
You know, but I mean, like, take nothing away from, like Shuaib said, he's a good coach.
Sure.
You know, his tactics, I've heard great things at Cape Town City, Supersport United, and even at Maritzburg in his early days when he saved them from relegation, and even the good season that he had last season. Because, you know, Eric is who he is. You know, the ginger, man. He was the Bafana guy who was, you know, doing the hard work in midfield when they were winning the Nations Cup and all of that. And he carried that demeanor, so to speak, into his coaching career. So maybe there can be, of course, there has to be question marks when a coach isn't able to motivate the players to win games after having done so well the previous season. So, but I think you've got to look at both situations. You've got to look at the coach and you've got to look at the club. It's history with hiring and firing coaches.
Umazola is referring to the loss of the dressing room, but obviously key personnel play into it. Losing Richard Ofori to Orlando Pirates, does that make your job as a coach harder when you've done what you've done in the season before, or do you think he still had the tools, Eric, to carry on and do what he needed to do?
I think on the balance of looking at the composition of the squad, if we were to go pound for pound with some of the teams that have played against and lost to them, on paper, we will both agree that Maritzburg has got a better squad compared to cheaper. Most importantly, the team that they lost to this past weekend, Black Leopards, and they didn't lose a lot of players. It's Afori and Kolo. Who else? You know, those are the,
and I think management gave him about 6 new players.
Yes. And if you look at the additions, and remember, this is the team that made its first cup final this past season.
So as county, listen to this. Like, if you get your team to a certain place, do you think four games is enough?
No, I think what Mazola has also been saying that, and this is the same mistake that when people are judging Kaizer Chiefs, they say it's the Kaizer Chiefs problem didn't just start now. It didn't even start just in the bubble. Even just before the bubble, you know, they lost to a bottom of the log AmaZulu. You understand? So you can see the problems they've been coming.
Sure.
So just like with Maritzburg now, their problems, they've been there. So there's something that maybe the management would have observed, and they felt, okay, maybe the bubble, maybe there are other issues there in the bubble. So let's see how he starts the season.
Right.
And then that's how you judge. And maybe there are other factors which are not out there in the open that the 4 of us here don't know about, which would be boardroom and dressing room related.
Sure.
Because those weigh heavily. Because I was listening to an interview which was done with Russian Direct, and I was saying they don't know what they have to do anymore, you know, because the results are not coming.
Sure.
So, as they usually say in football, do you need fresh ideas?
Who's the pick-me-up coach?
This past weekend, Leopards had fresh ideas.
For sure.
And they picked up 3 points. But Shoaib will tell you that there's always that momentum of having a new coach. Everyone wants to impress. You find a team that they can win maybe the 2-3 matches, and then they go back to another slump again.
Sure.
You know, but from how I see the situation, because I think even before the season started, from some of the colleagues from KZN, there had been this talk that Tinkler might not even start the season, or it would depend how they start. But I refuse to look at the situation of Maritzburg as just the issue of the quality of the... I mean, Maritzburg has got a better squad compared to a number of teams.
Sure.
On paper.
And I mean, Shoaib, now, having been in that culture of the Maritzburg team, you know the team very well. Now there's an opening. What kind of coach needs to go in there? Because we've kind of figured out that maybe the coach who's just left is a bit abrasive and doesn't really know how to deal with players sometimes, especially when the going gets tough. What kind of individual needs to get in there?
Yeah, I think now they need they need to think about it very sensibly, because you kind of need a coach now that is just going to motivate, inspire. You're not going to be looking at a coach that want to change things drastically.
Yeah.
Because you don't have a lot of time. You're playing a lot of matches.
Sure.
You want your transition into your type of football to gradually come in. So you don't want to come in and change things, because it's twofold now at the moment. With a new coach coming in trying to change things drastically, tactically, it can go against you. Because now the players need time. So for me at the moment, my suggestion, or if I was part of the directors or the technical director, I would look at a coach that is more motivator and can inspire my players now, because that's all they need. I mean, you look at the game against Chippa, they played well till they scored, and their movements are there. There's good players, and there's a good structure there. I think now they, like the Riek was saying, like you're sitting there and you're despondent, because you're thinking, oh, what do I do? What can I do? But now it's just about getting that. Don't worry about the match, or don't worry about tactics. Go out there, get your confidence, and that's what they need now. So they need and there's quite a few coaches around locally. Yeah. We don't want to promote coaches over here.
Let's see what
the recycling. The recycling machine in South Africa.
There is a few man managers out there that I think that could do a job quite successfully.
Okay, well, there you have it. As far as maybe looking into that, there are many coaches without a job at the moment who can come in and motivate those players back to the heights that we know they're capable of. After the break, we'll look at the matches and plenty of the goals that were scored at the weekend. And we're back to reflect on the Loftus massacre. Well, it wasn't a massacre. It was a 7-goal thriller. You know, we got bang for our buck as far as the weekend was concerned.
Comedy of errors, goalkeeping blunders.
Yeah, that's why we brought Shoaib on.
Good football as well. Some good
football. Yeah, some good football. I mean, that was an amazing hat-trick.
Poor goalkeeping.
Yeah, that's why Shoaib is here. That's why we've got Naka over there to talk about that. But let's maybe start on the upper shot, which is the way that Timbers won and played in that game. I mean, you know, to come back and claw it back after that going a goal down and a quick fire hat-trick. Velile, he's showing us why he's the player of the...
You know, our Treasurer General here, he knows they were receiving a lot of backlash when we voted Mangete Umshishi as the football of the season,
right?
Men's football of the season at Safja. And well, the league went on to vindicate us, you know. But if you look at his performance, in his last 2 matches, he scored 5 goals in his last 2 matches at international level, here at home, and also hugely influential at Bafana Bafana and also at the club as well. I mean, you must look at how he took the second goal, a team goal, but mixed with individual brilliance as well, you know. And this is the Mshishi we know. Once he drops that shoulder, I go late, Baba. You know, I go late. You know, so for me, and this game also showed the quality. I know a lot of people were asking a lot of questions when Sundowns went for Peter Shalolile.
Yes.
A secondary assist yesterday, a straight assist.
No, for sure.
You know,
Kermit was also in on the act.
Exactly.
Impactful
a goal. You know, and some of the goals that he scores, the goals that he scores Sundowns, previously you hardly see Sundowns strikers scoring those type of goals, you know.
Yeah.
So, and this is what is needed, especially in the Champions League, you know.
For sure.
And this comes with the quality of playing for Namibia as well in the AFCON qualifiers,
right.
you know, at international level. But from Mshishi, the quality is there. He's on song, and I think they're gonna need him, especially if Sereno doesn't come back.
Oh, that's for out of context tweets, that one. I'm going to save that one. Let's talk about AmaZulu on the other side. I mean, you know, obviously you can say a couple of the goals were gifted, but there's something in that side. I mean, you know, you could see that they kind of feel that they're capable of boxing in this level.
Absolutely, and this is one of the reasons why I think Cobra is under pressure. You know, the new management new owners coming.
Yeah.
Obviously, the decision to have Cobra there wasn't necessarily his.
Yes,
It
yeah,
was
for sure.
taken by the Sokela family before they sold the team.
And that's a good news story, isn't
You
it?
know, and Cobra's come in, you know, saved the club from relegation and been rewarded with, you know, staying on. But he's immediately under pressure. And the reason I'm saying that is because they've put together such a good team, and you've got an ambitious owner who's talking about keeping up with Kaizer Chiefs and Orlando Pirates and Mamelodi Sundowns, you know, and it reflects in the acquisitions that he's made. And if Cobra does not deliver, you know, he will quickly be the scapegoat, you know. So I'm wishing him all the best with trying to manage the egos, the senior players that are mixed with that group of young talents. And I mean, you look everywhere. It's a good team. And unfortunately, Anele is passed on now. They're going to add another experienced campaigner. You know, we were talking about him now, a coach. You know, on the pitch as well. Pagamani Mahlambi still in talks, could happen before the transfer window closes. Could revive Parker again to show why Al Ahly had bought him from Vets in the first place, and why Sundowns had spent 13 million rands to bring him back to South Africa. You know, yeah. So it's a really good team, and there's still Shaba, who's still, you know, healing and ready match fitness when he's available. Bongintuli, he scored 70-80% of their goals last season. He's been out injured. He'll be out for a lot longer because he's in a moon boot right now. But when he's available midway through the season, you know, goals coming in again. Augustine Mulenga, it's, you know, Majoro looks to be his old self again. The Majoro we know that's quick on the counter, able to punish opposition. So that team, you know, definitely top 8 material. You know, whether they'll be able to do it, obviously, is another thing. But the goalkeeper, you know, Mbata was not convincing.
Your timing is immaculate when you bring that up, because Shwayne, this one is for you. In terms of just kind of shoring things up at the back, you know, you ship 4, of course, it's a top quality Mamelodi Sundowns side. But what do you make as far as, you know, you got experienced campaigners, I'll use that term, the likes of Mario Boyson in the back there, you know, Siambata in goal. We know he can be good, but I mean, is he even in the best physical shape for an elite sportsman to be in? I mean,
you just said it now. He's a good goalkeeper, but in better shape he'll be a lot better.
Sure.
I think he'll probably got into the corner that everybody's talking about, obviously. And the whole sad part about it for AmaZulu is the timing of that goal, because they were still in it. It was 3-2. So now you as and I know it because I've made that mistake and errors, and now your defenders is down, your team is down. We just fought back now to come into 3-2. Now you're going to make our job a little bit harder also with the individual error in that sense. But I do want to also know, with having such good fitness coaches around, conditioning coaches around, I need to ask. He's not in the best shape. I mean, we also, because they showed Thembazwane's second goal 20 times in slow motion.
And
so obviously with him diving over there and
coming through there.
Yes. So for me, is I think he would be
even the first goal.
Merciless.
Even the first goal to be beaten at near post like that.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Look, I nowadays I can't blame him too much for that goal, because that was a brilliant strike and he meant to hit it in the near post. You could see when he hit it with the laces.
Sure.
That was a good strike. The balls are also a lot lighter now, so I'm not going to give too much criticism to the goalkeeper when it comes to Mbata for the 4th goal. The timing of the goal.
Right.
The timing of the mistake.
Pirates material in Mbata.
Pirates thought about it. I mean, they thought about it just before the season started. Well, after the last season, after the bubble. And
but I mean, if you went there, it'd be 3rd choice, surely.
Look, I think they're also looking at maybe long-term backup or long-term competition for Richard. I mean, Wayne, yes, he's in good health and he could play to 40, but does the team or does the club think of it like that? We know that Mopuchani, obviously he's looking to move because he wants some game time. So I think they are looking, long term. And but at the end of the day, for me, is like Mazola saying, I think AmaZulu is a team that I think can be in the top 8. They were good at certain moments. With regards to Sundowns, I think 2 strikers. Thembazwane is going to score a lot of goals this season because the two strikers are going to be occupying the defenders, and he's always going to be making those late runs.
Right.
Now
Those
you
late
have
runs, yes.
now you have Shalulile and Kermit with intelligence. I mean, Kermit could have taken a shot for that for the hat-trick goal.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And with that intelligence, I think Themba's one is going to score a lot of goals this season.
Yeah, I think the problem also at AmaZulu for Sebonga is competition.
Yeah,
It doesn't have a strong number two.
Right.
that's
Yes.
100%.
Yes,
correct.
so it's too relaxed. So I think before the transfer window closes next Monday,
But that's the thing.
That's-
I was
that's-
saying
that's
to
one
Kamza
area they
off
must
air
address.
that it's mind-boggling that Sandile Zungu comes in,
So ambitious.
so ambitious,
Makes good
signs so many players, but the one area in which he need the team needs competition, he neglects that area.
yeah. But I think they've been on it,
Yeah.
Okay.
but they've been back and forth on it.
Okay.
So now they have to make a call.
They have to make a call.
Yeah, because
those performances will force their
they've
hand.
got at least two candidates.
Yeah.
You know, so they have to make a call because
Brandon Peterson is there at Chiefs kicking
Yeah?
his heels there.
There's loading keepers.
there's
Sundowns over there.
possibility that even Jody February
Yeah.
might
You
go
see?
might go on loan,
there's
or even Riyad Peters.
Yeah.
I know that AmaZulu were considering Riyad Peters,
Yeah.
for instance.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, he's a bit error prone also, but yeah.
But
Don't
at least
worry,
he'll
Troy
be a
will
better
add it back for those
competition.
errors.
Yeah, he will be better competition.
Yeah.
Okay, gents, let's move on to a team that, you know, a lot of people on Twitter, they'll say, oh, why do you guys speak about TTM so often? We're going to speak to them about how they finally managed to get all 3 points at the weekend. And, you know, Justin Shonga in the end there getting the all-important goal at the dying end of the game. But, Velile, you said this, that they could have been well up as far as that game is concerned. They even had a strangely disallowed goal. I don't know why it was disallowed. Maybe the officials can tell us. But, yeah.
I mean, I looked at all
Possible
angles, you know, different angles. And
you use your PVR to all its power.
Rewind, screenshots,
everything.
So I don't know, because I don't know. The assistant referees these days, I don't know what we must get them, you know. I know that the VAR, I heard that it was expensive. Last time there was the consideration, I'm not sure if Mklambi was shaya, you know. But they were saying at Safa it could cost around 80 million rands a season.
Okay.
But I think this is the only solution now. I mean,
Yeah.
when we watch just a normal league game in Egypt or in the Botola Pro League in Morocco, and they've got VAR. If we view ourselves as one of the best leagues or the biggest leagues on the continent, we have to match the standards of those North Africans.
For sure.
You know,
For sure.
I think our FA and also its special member, the league, they must seriously consider this because week in, week out, look, no one is perfect.
Yeah.
But I think the level, especially this, if you're gonna see, I mean, this is a debutant.
For sure.
You know, and you could see Rachale. This is the Rachale that we know.
Of course. And he's I mean, it's a
You know,
beautiful way
and
to
you
announce
don't know
yourself.
what that goal could have done.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and you could see even though they had that goal disallowed, but he was continuing to come.
Yeah.
You know, with shots at goal and. You know, so and also they missed a penalty, Rolani Manzini.
Yeah,
you know,
Manzini's
so
penalty,
for me, TTM, we've said this before. Forget about TTM because you saw the story now. Vladislav Herish has taken them to FIFA. We've spoken about the story before.
Yes, we have.
But now he wants 6 million at FIFA, and the story is gaining momentum that side. You know, but enough about what is happening off the field.
Right.
You can tell that the CEO of the club is a coach. Because they've done well in terms of recruitment.
Right.
But in terms of admin,
They must get an administrator.
Yes. But I mean, I love to watch them play because their football is good to the eye, and for me, they are effective. You know, it's not just about tiki taka or what. No.
Yeah.
It's about effective football that gets you results. And yesterday, unfortunately for Baroka, it's their first loss, so we count 1.
Let's talk about Baroka, you know. Is the experiment, you know, is it working so far? Is that a blip on the weekend?
Why
with
do
the
you always have
signs?
to come to me about this
You're
Baroka
here.
thing, man?
You're here. You're closest to me.
Yeah, look, I think all eyes are on Matsimela right now. You know, one, the manner in which, you know, his predecessor left the club after saving them from relegation. the qualifications issue again. It's always going to come up, especially if
you lose,
if the results are not positive. So look, the chairman was praising them, saying they started well. High up the log table after 3 games. Now first loss, like Velile is saying, we're gonna start counting now, and games are there's no FIFA break until March now.
Right.
There will be the Christmas recess, obviously for a week and a half or whatever, but games are coming in thick and fast. And Baroka are always, these quick early pace setters, and then they drop when the games start coming in quick, very quickly, So that's what's going to happen. The depth of the squad is going to be tested.
Right.
I personally don't think they made a lot of good signings. Baroka have been showing over the years that they go all the way to the lower divisions and expect those players from the ABC Motsepe leagues, amateur sides, to hit the ground running, playing for top flight clubs.
Sure.
It doesn't work like that. You get punished when you do that.
Sure.
Add to that the issue again about qualifications, whether Coach Matimela Toka is experienced enough. Okay, they've added Coach Spaghetti to assist there. He's more qualified. He's been around the block a lot longer. But let's see how that combination works. So look, I anticipate a very difficult season for Baroka, especially if you factor in the players that they've recruited. When you compare them to their rivals, who've strengthened a little bit better. To improve, especially from the bio-bubble performance. Okay,
and just to clarify on his qualifications, is he capable of coaching on the continent, really? If he had to go into African competition, will he be on the bench, or will he stay at home, or be in the hotel?
If some coaches at big clubs are not, now you don't even start. Because we're talking about KFA license.
Yeah.
And when you're asking me about entry level.
Okay. Enough said. Thank you very much, sir. So after the break, we're going to continue looking at match day 4 and some of the results from it. Remember that hashtag is MNF on Soweto TV. I hope to come back and read some of your tweets. Please do join us after this. Welcome back. It's Monday Night Football on Soweto TV. Stales Kulamange, Maritzburg United. So I've got a tweet that's just come in here from Lisibe Jolsiabi. He says, has Maritzburg United supported the coach in getting replacements? Ofori, Miguel Tim, Kunene leaving. I thought they pulled the trigger way too early. Some will say that you got enough time because it kind of spans back from within the bubble up until now. Let's see. Let's get more of your thoughts on that hashtag of MNF on Soweto TV. We're now discussing what is an early Christmas miracle in terms of Kaizer Chiefs finally getting a goal from open play. We saw, Castro it was strange. I was watching that game. It looked like there was a crisis of confidence as far as the players were concerned up until that goal came along, because it looked like it was just going to be another crestfallen performance from Kaizer Chiefs, thinking that the world is against them. They're not getting the chances to get into a game. But they did get a point out of this one.
Yeah, so they say the coach's gone Antonio Conte with 3 centre backs,
the bombing wing backs,
the wing backs bombing forward and whatever. Look, it looked like it was gonna work, obviously, but the fact that they are still conceding, whether it's Kune or it's Akpe, it seems like it doesn't matter now anymore. So that's another big question for the coach. Who is the problem? Should Kune be number 1? Because him and Akpe are conceding either way. Obviously, they are missing Tower. I think one of the reasons that the coach gone with the 3 centre backs is because they were missing Tower. So but then there was a debutant later on, Darrell Macheke, who's promoted from the junior team. From the reserve team last season, and it looks like maybe he could play, some type of a role. But in attack, that will be a confidence booster, especially for Castro. Castro doesn't score a lot, but when he does get involved, he adds value. I mean, this is a guy who was on the verge of leaving the club 2 seasons ago, and fortunes turned around, and he convinced that he could still stick around. Of course, with Nukovic there. Nukovic also scored the bulk of the goals, but a concern is still Kama Billiard. Yes, he's still getting into those good positions. He's starting every game, but he's not at the end of it finishing.
Right.
Good setup for Castro for I think it was the second goal. but also his own confidence in trying to get back into the team. So it's going to be a very long season for Kaizer Chiefs, like we've said. Yes, let's factor in the transfer ban and whatever. It will be very difficult to just like forget about that, get over that. This is a team that we might question the scouting network and the recruitment policy over the years, but every season they bring in, 5, couple of players to refresh the team, and they are unable to do that now.
Right.
But another issue is, is it still Ernst Middendorp on the bench?
What?
Is it still Ernst Middendorp on the bench?
Why?
Do they have a new coach?
Talking about the
Because
type of
the football looks the same to
Well,
me.
that's the thing. That's the thing. But I mean, is
I
it not the case of
differ on the
The
football.
football looks the same to me.
I
to a
differ on the
certain
football.
degree. No, I also
I
do.
feel that this Chiefs team is watchable.
Okay.
Attacking.
On the attack.
On the attack, yes.
Defensively, not as tight as under
Ernst.
and for that, it also boils down to quality.
Sure.
If you want to play quality with a team that is limited, it's going to hit you at the back. And I think that's what, because Hunt, I don't think Hunt is a coach. For starters, we know Hunt plays on the wings.
Right.
But he comes to a team that didn't have wingers,
right.
So he has to improvise. For instance, if we go back, I felt that Chiefs were much better, especially on the attack in this game. And there are chances also that they didn't take. But at some stage, it was frustrating for them because I felt in the first 30 minutes, they were very poor in passing, in passing the ball, and the ball circulation also. I don't think they were very effective, and they were doing it with some intensity in how they were moving the ball. But overall, I felt it was a better game than some of the games. I watched their game against the TS Galaxy and also Alonda Pirates. A different team altogether, So I felt they were better in this game, but defensively it's still going to be a problem with the limitations that they have.
Right.
But let's see, because this fellow's team, I watched them against TS Galaxy.
That game was very good, very easy on the eye.
Yes, tight. And especially when you consider that this TS Galaxy team, Van der Linde, the goalkeeper there, has produced 3 clean sheets now. And they've considered only 1 goal in 4 matches.
Right.
So it's going to be interesting how Chiefs, will they keep a clean sheet against the Swallows tomorrow? But I felt for me, Chiefs was better. And I felt also they were unfortunate to concede the penalty that they conceded.
No, for sure. Let's talk about that penalty, Shoaib, because that changes the dynamics. Those are fine margins that, if you're Gavin Hunt, you could have had all 3 points, and then a bad decision like that once again brings the whole VAR thing into question. But, I mean, calls like that, you need to be sure as a referee.
Yes, definitely. That is what I think changed the whole game. I think Chiefs had a better chance. Well, we all know that Chiefs had a better chance on the 3 points had they not conceded that, because now it's a bit of an uphill.
Yeah.
And we need to talk about it. And we need PSL to come to the party now and find solutions, because we can't say our officials are unfit or this or that. They are at times extremely poor, and it's extremely poor decisions. It's not like, touch and go.
Right.
No, it's clear to the eye. I mean, I've even tweeted it. It was clear on normal time. You didn't need slow motion to see that Katsande got to the ball first. It's actually a foul to Kaizer Chiefs.
Yeah, exactly.
With regards to the football, I think Gavin has reached the stage now, this is my personal opinion, where he's taking it pound for pound now. I'm going to attack and you're going to attack. If I score, I score. If you score, you score. Because that's how, if you look, when we all say they weren't really good defensively. They weren't tight defensively, because he's saying now, I'm going to go for the attack. And if I don't score and you score on outside, because that's what the game was going. I mean, Golden Arrows had the first clear-cut chance.
Sure.
And he's saying now, this is the way we're going to play. Instead of being the normal Wits tight at the back with my back 4, and then try and play the long ball and second ball. No, we're going to play now more attacking. But if we concede, we have to take that risk.
Okay, well, there you have it, Amakosi fans, as far as reflecting on that. Maybe it is a building block of more to come, but we've said it is a stern test that awaits them in the Dubai Birds. Let's move on to another game that saw Orlando Pirates getting all 3 points against their bogey side in Supersport United. And I guess the machine and the momentum is rolling on when it comes to, Orlando Pirates. We kind of put them under pressure last week in saying, like, these performances mean that you're going to have to deliver something at the end of the season. But 3 points against a good Supersport United and coming back into the game to take all 3 points, Mazon.
Yeah, look, I think they capitalized on blunders, and I think Ronwen, usually very solid. I think we're having issues with goalkeepers lately.
It was not a great weekend for them, no.
It was not a great weekend at all. Usually very solid,
right.
Ronwen, that is. But I think the miscommunication also with the defense.
I mean, Mayela's little toe poke changed the situation completely.
Yeah, maybe you blame Luke to say he's still young, didn't quite read the situation well, calls the keeper out, the keeper comes, and then Mayela is clever enough to
dink it through
for Tsegofatso to slot home. But look, I don't. And people were having obviously different opinions about this. Were Pirates really that good, or they punish Supersport from their blunders? I think it was a combination.
And you'll take it because it's confidence
exactly,
builder, right?
Exactly. And you beating a team it's a solid team. They've
got
good players.
Exactly.
Yes, they've lost 1 or 2 players here, especially Dean in the heart of midfield, the spine of that team. But they still have good players. They've got Evans Rusuike back. Bradley Grobler was playing after missing international matches with Bafana. And I think this is huge for Zimbabwe. Again, the pressure is also on him to deliver. I mean, 6 years without a trophy, and even longer. I think 8 now without winning the championship, and this is it. They've made top recruitments. I mean, Ofori, Tyson, Jukamanja, Monare, you name them.
Yeah.
It's a super team. We've been speaking about it over the weeks. So for him not to deliver, if you get halfway through the season and there's no sign that Pirates could, in fact, should start with the MTN 8. I think that's the mandate. Let's get the monkey off our back and get that MTN 8 trophy.
I know, Veledo, you were speaking to Pirates players last week. And obviously now Mango on the mend. It's a scary prospect to think that they've been able to get points on the board without all their players. Mundela is also in the mix, so they're getting stronger and stronger, essentially.
And you have to talk about, it's the 2 friends, because Lepasa and Mabasa are friends, big friends. Yeah. But you have to talk about how Mabasa, in fact, Lepasa got that penalty, forcing his way in the middle of two defenders, So I think for me, we are seeing the rise of Mabasa this season, and
Lepasa.
In fact, Lepasa, and he's just fresh from an under-23 international camp where he scored against Saudi Arabia, and this is the season where also we're going to the Olympics, so he's raising his hand there. But the numbers talk. 25 matches, 17, I think 15 wins, 7 draws, and 3 losses. That's Zimbabwe's record.
Oh, I thought it was the former coach.
No. Those numbers.
Right.
I think they're averaging 2.08 on points.
Those are good numbers.
Yes. So that's something.
Okay, so I mean, considering that and looking on the other side, Gaetano Tembo and his young challengers, he's got some decent players, but we've rattled off 5 top names. Yes, Orlando Pirates were able to absorb them from Bidvest, Wits, and Stan Matthews had come out and said, we won't be able to spend as much. Does that kind of now have to change their outlook as far as what they can do this season when a competitor was able to put them at the sword at the weekend?
No, for me, I still think they got a strong enough team.
To challenge for what exactly?
Look, they've always done well in the cups. I mean, I've played against them twice in MTN and Telkom, and beat them once. And then last year also they were 2 seasons ago. So they're a good cup team. Challenging for the league, I think they can this season, because if we look at who are going to, Sundowns is there, Pirates is there, but who else? You understand? So I think with the team that they have, I think they can actually compete for at least top 3. And if you get good results here and there, you could potentially see yourself. The youngsters are going to make errors.
Sure.
I think to a certain degree, Mazola's right. you got no crowd, you have no, you can literally whisper, clear the ball.
Right.
And then danger's gone.
Sure.
So a little, and I also have to look, okay, the congestion of Ronwen Williams playing both international friendlies, traveling, all that, you also have to take into consideration. I also have to, be a little bit sympathetic in that department. What I do like about Orlando Pirates is their speed coming up. Brilliant, lovely. But then in the final third, it's a rush. That is where the issue is. And I believe they've got a good team to score a lot of goals. I do believe they've got the good quality. And I do think they're going to be...
Mango is back at training now. Makusu has started training as well.
So it's good. It's good, healthy competition. I'm excited to see Orlando Pirates this season. When it comes to Supersport, I think they can still be with some good results.
Okay. Well, gents, let's have a look in terms of what's happening as far as midweek fixtures. We've already touched on the fact that Swallows and Kaizer Chiefs will be in action tomorrow. But Bloemfontein Celtic and Black Leopards, that'll also be quite an interesting one there. Because Bloem Celtic at home are a good prospect, Velile. But Black Leopards now, is it a case of, just trying to find at least 1 point on the road?
Look, there's new motivation now. And they also have the momentum that they have to carry from this past week. And I'm sure by now Dylan Kerr will be on the bench in this game. You saw Celtic losing to Cape Town City, not easy at all for them. So it's going to be very interesting. And also remember, it's uncharted territory for them. They are looking forward to the trip to the DRC because they've never been in that space.
For sure.
So psychologically, it's going to be interesting how they're going to handle moving into the African safari when it comes to the CAF interclub competitions.
Speaking of CAF, Ahmad now coming out, news about him being sanctioned from all footballing activities. Has this kind of paved the way for Patrice Motsepe to walk into that presidency?
Yeah, you'd think so, but I think obviously the CAF president's going to try appeal and fight it.
Can he appeal?
Whether that gets, how far that gets him is another story. But as we've seen with FIFA cases and appeals, you don't get far.
Right.
You don't get far with appeals.
Who showed us that?
Once the ethics committee has made a decision, good luck getting that overturned.
For sure.
So you probably have a situation now where maybe either another name will, because I think the announcement will be much later as to who are the 5 candidates.
The 5 candidates are already out there.
Yes.
But with football, it is never as it seems.
It's never as
because because I can tell you right now that the first vice president, Constant Omar, who is now the acting president, Fauzi like Legja, they could also be facing some music.
Okay.
Leading to the SAFA president.
Let's see what happens.
Next acting president.
It's going to get interesting. And we'll probably turn this one around as far as getting more reaction to the whole Ahmad thing. Maybe we'll pop something onto our social media regarding. But for myself and the team, guys, we've run out of time. Thank you so much to you and to you. We'll catch you next week.